Greetings shippers, welcome back, and today we're going to do something a little different. Now in the course of running this channel, I get a lot of emails, and one of the ones I get frequently from multiple people is from fanfiction writers, often disheartened and confused fanfiction writers. And they often email with the same concern, saying, nobody is reading my fic, what am I doing wrong? So today I thought I would do a video explaining the various ways that fiction or art can be buried and why you're probably not doing anything wrong, so don't worry. And to top it off, I'll give you some tips to try and help make your fic more visible. Are you ready? Let's get started. Firstly, for anybody putting content of any kind out there, don't be discouraged if it isn't widely viewed right away. Instead, be proud because you've taken the hardest first step, and that is putting it out there. For some, it may seem like a small thing, but opening yourself up to critique and all kinds of other online exposure can be daunting for many. So really, that is the biggest hurdle to overcome when producing any fan content. So to even get to that point is really amazing. And let's be clear, there are stresses whether your work is widely viewed or not so widely viewed. They're just different. So you've completed the first step. Your fic/work is out there, but nobody seems to be viewing it. Before you go beating yourself up, some things to consider. 1. How big is the fandom? Because big and small fandoms each present their own challenges in getting a work seen. If a fandom is big and active and popular, it can sometimes happen that one's work gets buried underneath a series of chapter updates and new fics constantly being produced, especially so if the work you're producing is for the dominant ship. Conversely, a smaller fandom may seem like it will yield more hits, and that can be the case. However, the question becomes, how active is that small fandom? And sometimes how old a fandom is can factor into this as well. For older or smaller fandoms, sometimes fans aren't quite as attached or up to date with their checking for your updates, or for new fics. This is just the fact of fandom. As things age and are out there for longer, their fandoms tend to slow down. And there are of course exceptions or revitalizations that can drive people back to a fandom in a big way. However, even the most avid Star Trek fan is unlikely to be checking the TNG page every day for new ships. At this point in time, it's simply probably not going to happen like that, and the same can be said for a lot of fandoms. So a lot of fandom runs in cycles, so don't worry if you're in a smaller fandom, there is a chance it'll come back around. Next up, the pairing. We touched upon what can happen if you're writing for a pairing that is popular, but what about for a pairing that is small, or heaven forbid, rare? It so happens that the smaller and rarer pairings may get less traffic, though of course they can also have some very passionate devotees on the flip side. Which leads into the next consideration, is your work gen? Most of fandom of this type is geared towards shipping, and as a result, gen fics tend to be buried or less searched, rightly or wrongly. So with all of these factors in play, what can you do to get your work some more notice? Well, firstly, don't be hard on yourself, and please don't think that a lack of readership has to correlate to a lack of talent, because that is simply not the case. So now, from that positive space, some advice. I've said it before and I'll say it again, the tags are your friends. Whatever site you are using, utilize the tagging system to the best of your ability and as accurately as possible. This means rating, pairing, genre, tropes, and don't be afraid to see what tropes are popular / in use within the fandom, because there is a chance that your fic might fall into a trope that you weren't even aware of. Using tags is useful as when people choose to use the filter option, it increases the chances of yours being found if you are tagged correctly. And these days, with sites getting so large and filling with so much content, people often use the filter system to dive straight into what they're looking for. Otherwise, as mentioned, especially in an active fandom, it can simply become overwhelming. Next up, the description. Creating a succinct, to the point, and eye-grabbing description can be very helpful, as the description as well as the tags will be part of what draws people to your work. Also, while some fans are looking quite intensely for something, many are simply skimming or scrolling or engaging in fandom in their spare time. So the quicker and punchier your description, the more hits you may get. For this reason, using self-deprecating remarks as a synopsis is not really advisable, because if self-deprecation is employed when the person is scrolling through, they will see such sentences as, I don't know why I wrote this, I don't think it's any good, I don't know what I'm doing, which while they may be genuine sentiments for the author, can be off-putting for those looking for a fic to read, especially as they now have no idea what the fic is actually about. Don't be afraid to have confidence in your work. It has merit and it is worth something. Next up, proofread your work. Now, while everybody's at a different part of the writing journey, it is always important to do one's best when it comes to grammar and spelling. Mistakes happen and everybody misses something, and not everybody can get a beta reader, and that's absolutely fine. Don't be afraid to leave a note in your fic at the beginning or the bottom for some constructive criticism if you're not feeling very confident in that aspect of your work. A collection of errors, especially near the beginning, can be off-putting for some readers, so it's best to avoid that when possible. Though of course, it happens to the best of us. Mistakes, they happen. To err is human. And on that note, on the commenter side, if you notice a bunch of errors, please be constructive. Nobody wants to produce an error-laden work, and it can be assumed that most people are trying to put their best foot forward when they produce something. So if you're going to comment or critique, try and keep it gentle, nice, and encouraging. And if you happen to know a good beta reader or one yourself, don't be afraid to speak up and offer your services or send them their way. Next up, don't be afraid to post multiple places. And don't think about it as spamming. Each fan site attracts different types of fans, and there isn't always cross-pollination between them. Meaning that just because someone's on Tumblr doesn't mean that they're on AO3, Fanfiction.net, Wattpad, or any of the other fan sites. So by posting your fic to multiple locations, you are increasing the range and type of fans who will see it. Attached to this, if you ever see some kind of fic prompt exchange or a contest you want to enter, don't be discouraged just because you haven't had much readership on the fic in question. Don't be afraid to enter these contests. They can be a great way to put yourself out there and your writing, and that can draw attention to whatever works people aren't currently viewing, if any. On that same note, if you really have a hankering and it's not happening, and you have an idea for something that is more popular, don't be afraid to dive in there either. A fandom that does have more traction can be a bit easier to get noticed in. And the most important advice of all, don't be discouraged and keep writing. Keep putting yourself out there. I know it can be demotivating to put something out there and put a lot of yourself into it and get no response, but stay the course. If it's a multi-chapter fic, keep updating. If it's a piece of fan art, keep drawing. If it's a one-shot and you have more ideas, then put them out there. Eventually, you will be seen. And even if on the off chance, the statistical improbability that doesn't happen, you will be improving your skill and you're taking that brave step of putting yourself out there. In a way, you're sharing a piece of yourself, or at the very least, a world that you've created. And that's something to be proud of. Now, that's not to say there's anything wrong with creating works and not posting them. That's fine too, especially if you don't want to. But for people who want to post and are having a bit of trouble summoning up the nerve, go for it. And now some advice for all of us readers or viewers out there. Some of us who are also creating our own work, and some of us who are just having a good time enjoying it all. Don't be afraid to comment. I say this as a recovering lurker myself. Lurking is all fine and good, but sometimes a comment is very much appreciated. So if you're on a work and you're really enjoying it, something has caught your eye, you see something that you think you can really make a good point about, don't be afraid to leave a comment. That can really make the author or creator's day. Just knowing that someone took the time out of their day to comment on work that they put out there, it can be really, really encouraging. And it's a great way to keep the fandom space a community wherein people feel that they're connected and that their fandom is shared and enjoyed. Now, lurkers, don't be afraid. This doesn't mean you have to comment on everything you see. But you know what? A comment a day keeps the doctor away. Or something like that. In all seriousness, a little bit of positivity or constructive criticism on someone's work can really help them improve and really get them to that next level. So I hope that this was helpful and it cheered you up if you were feeling down about potentially having a bit less readership than you want. Let me know your guys' experience with fics, posting comments, receiving comments, writing, everything. I want to know down below. Let me know if you want to see any more videos like this down there too, or if this should never happen again. I'm open to all comments. As always, just keep them positive and constructive. I wanted to do something a little different because I know that it can be lonely out there in fandom sometimes. Even though it can also be a great community, sometimes it can feel a little empty. So I just wanted to let all of you guys out there struggling within fandom know you are not alone. There are tons of other people who've encountered this same issue and they feel the exact same way. So don't be down on yourself, and trust me, there are readers out there. So stay the course, stay positive, keep creating, keep writing, keep drawing, keep doing everything. Keep being in a fandom for as long as it's fun and you enjoy it. Fandom is fundum. Or something. Wow. Thanks so much for spending some time with me today, or in my case tonight, and happy shipping. And I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye. This has been Shipper's Guide to the Galaxy. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And thank you so much for bearing with me as I try and figure out the reflection of the ring light in my glasses. We're getting there, I promise. Special thanks to all of my patrons, names on the side. And don't forget to go vote for this upcoming month's monthly video. And finally, as always, stay tuned, for there are as many ships out there as there are stars in the sky.